Next question. Any more questions we got tonight, or?
I do. It was brought up earlier about the tax base and how a lot of our money for the city comes from that, from businesses. I'd like to know what your plans are to bring new, viable, and large business here in Richfield. We've got a history of pushing those big businesses out, and this may be too early to bring it to word power plant, because I know that's a hot topic and some people run me out of here. But we missed the boat with that one. And there's a lot of money that comes out of those, and we need to do something. I'd like to know what the council and mayor propose that we do to bring those businesses here.
Well, you could talk about the power plant, you could talk about businesses, or in the profession I'm in, a prison or a jail. And there's talk of rural Utah accepting more responsibility from the state. The state always wants the rural Utah counties to take some of the burden from them and take responsibility for it. And again, what does everybody want? I know I've been stuck on that for a little while, but I'm not opposed to bringing in something where 30, 40, or 50 people could have a job. But we have to make it desirable for a business to come in. Do we have enough people in that would want to work at that job, that whatever we bring in? Is there enough people that have education on that, so that they don't have to bring people from a long ways away to start up the business? I'd want to look at the budget on what it costs to start a new business here. Maybe that needs to be tweaked a little bit. I mean, they talked about making the improvements with the water and sewer. And the city council, I was there last night, and that was a great decision to keep it in check, where it's feasible for people to even build a home. And they kept to start from the home. Can they afford to do that? And then the business. And Mike talked about the industrial park we have. That's sitting there. It looks great. It's right off of I-70. I think we need to have people just turn right off that exit, either one, come into town and get after it. But again, it's how we welcome them, how we, as a town, want to prosper in that direction. Some don't want to get bigger, as I've walked around and talked to people. Some do. The only thing I fear of is that we don't regress, we become stagnant, and then once you lose something, a business, an activity, other towns would take it and we'd never get it back. So it just depends on the 3 or 4 or 5 years of the people who voice their opinion and the council. I agree. It's something that needs to be talked about, because people are going to come to Richfield. We're the biggest town after Nephi to Cedar City. It's going to happen. And our neighbors, even though they're, like I said, their post office box isn't here in Richfield, but they still depend on Richfield for a lot of their needs. And we can do that.
Well, I agree with the things that Warren just said. I've started something that takes us back to the 70s, and when I told Mayor Anderson about it the other day, he said, why don't you name it something else? But I really believe in Shop Richfield first, and I think we need to support the businesses we have here and encourage people to spend their dollars in our town. A friend of mine was talking to some young ladies the other day that were insisting on having a pool, and he says, how do you think the pool's paid for? Well, they didn't have any idea. They just wanted to have a pool, and I think that's great. But they didn't understand that it's paid for with tax money. And we need to help our local businesses be viable and strong and encourage our local people to shop here. Now, it doesn't mean that if I see you up in Costco, I'm going to run and hide, because I enjoy going up there too. But it costs a lot of money, and I think we just need to keep pointing out to people how much it costs when you go up north to spend your dollars. I went in and took a movie picture of in the other day in the Diamond Store to highlight one of our local businesses that's on my Facebook page. Well, it's not put up there yet, but we took the picture the other day, and that gal was just incredulous at how people will go somewhere else to buy a diamond and pay the same or more than they pay here locally without the same guarantees. And that, I think you find as you go around our community. There's so many great deals here, people just mistakenly think that if they leave town and spend their money, they're going to get a better buy, and that's really not the case. It generally costs us much more to go out of the city and buy things that we can get right here. But as far as bringing big business in, I'm all for it, but the qualification would have to be on how big and how it would impact our community. I think we need slow and constant growth, and I think that's a very good thing, but not to something huge all of a sudden. We would really be shocked at what we would have to provide for that type of business.
I wanted to say again too, several years ago, when Walmart was looking to bring in their distribution center, they looked at Richfield. And then we were very hopeful, and we had a lot of people working on it, and we were excited because we were thinking that that was going to come. They ended up going down by Hurricane and putting it in down there. Well, some of their major reasons for that were opportunities for their employees. That was one of them. Well, right now we have a great city. We have a great new hospital. We've got a great golf course. We've got good recreational facilities. We have good schools. They were also looking at enough people that they can employ. We have that here in this area if we have them trained and ready to go forth. But I think that that's one of the things that we need to remember is we have to have a trained workforce. We hear that a lot from up in Utah County. They have so many that have grown up with the computer industry and are trained. We have to be able to offer that here as well. We want to bring in jobs that are family-paying wages, not just minimum wage. And we need to support and build up our community. If you look at Nephi or if you look at Tooele, you're going to see that a lot of their downtown area is pretty much dead. They've just built up on the outer edges. And that has been a concern for a lot of people here. We need to have a strong central community. We need to have a strong downtown because that does have an impact on people who are coming into our community. They're going to look at schools. They're going to look at hospitals. They're going to look at recreational facilities, and they're going to look at places where they can build homes for their employees or the people that they bring. All of those things are good, but we're going to have to be in a position to provide those for those companies that are coming in. And so for us, I think what we need to do is we need to take stock of what we've got here now, how we can encourage companies to come in and use the industrial center, how we can encourage new businesses to come in that will pay those family living wages. And those are things that will be researched, and those are things that we're going to do to encourage. But part of that will have to be in incentives. We're going to have incentives for those companies to make them want to come into this area and be able to manufacture or do whatever they need to do.
Got it. Go ahead. I got my thoughts on that are. And I'm going to go back here a little, I guess, in time, and this is strictly my opinion, but my observation over the years has been clear back to Mayor Kimball's time. This city has done the infrastructure. Pretty much the sewer system throughout our community has been replaced. The water lines have been replaced. There's trunk lines that's been put out for growth from both directions in town. The expansion of the airport is going to create some opportunity, I believe. It's also created opportunity for us as a city to improve some of that infrastructure in that area. Anyway, long story short, I think as a city we've provided a place for business to come to. We've got a business park, we've got the infrastructure in place. Every business that comes here is different. Obviously, if somebody comes to the industrial park and says, I'm going to bring 40 manufacturing jobs into your area, and they're going to pay an average income of $40,000 a year, we're going to probably set up and take a little notice to that and give them some incentives. If somebody comes in and says, hey, I want to buy a piece of ground out there to park 3 semis on it over the weekend, what are you going to do for them? You know, that's obviously not a benefit to us as a community. I think, like Connie said, if you bring something in like that, the secondary businesses that we have downtown, like Gary's Shoes, Severe School and Office, they're going to prosper from that. If there's need for more of that type of business, it's going to come. But we have a gentleman that works for the county that we all help pay for that wage that is an economic development person. You know, I don't know. I don't know why. There was a data business that wanted to come to our industrial park that stores electronic records. We thought we had a good shot at that, if I recall. Dr. Barnett, didn't you think so? Next thing we find out, it's gone to St. George. We didn't even know they'd gone. I don't know. You know, that's a hard question to answer, but I think from the city's perspective, we have done the things. We've got everything in place here. I mean, we're ready. Like you said, this community's ready to go. We just need that break. And as the first one comes, I think the rest will follow. I watched, when I took my apprenticeship out, I watched Cedar City explode. And I hope I don't offend anybody, but I think they've kind of got a mess down there in some ways because it grew so fast. But anyway, that's my thoughts.
I'll keep my thoughts short to you. Ryan, I think the biggest answer, if I could sum it up in one word, would be destination. What do we have to do? And this isn't just a mayor or a city council, but what do we do as a community to make Richfield City or Sevier County a destination? Why would you want to come live here? Why would you want to set up a business here? And those are questions we'll have to explore. I think you can start and build slow, and slow is not always a good thing, but you got to start somewhere. We can make small things a destination. You know, shopping local is a good idea. But on the other hand, too, if families are struggling and they have to go somewhere else to save the money, they just have to do it. But we can do other things to bring, I call it the soft money, the good money in, the tender side of money. Bring in more weekend activities, sporting things, camps, football camps. I don't understand why we take our football team from Richfield High School and we go to Kanab for a football camp. And nothing against Kanab, but why are we busing up and taking all of our kids there? Why are we not doing football camp here? Why don't we do a band festival here, you know, in the summertime? Those things used to happen here. Maybe we need to go back and ask some of the sage people what used to work and make this a destination again. You know, the Rocky Mountain Rumble up there at the SVC for wrestling, those people know if they don't book their hotel room the day they leave here from that tournament, they're not getting a hotel room in Richfield. They'll be staying in Ephraim. We need to make Richfield more destination stops like that. And when that energy grows and that gets going, then other people say, what are they doing there? I want to be part of that community. One last thing, you know, the hospital. I don't work for Intermountain Healthcare. I rent space from it, and a lot of people say, well, you're an employee. I don't own anything in the company. But I tell you, we've always been saying as the medical staff, we need to decide now if we're going to make Richfield the Central Utah Healthcare Specialty, or if it's going to be Gunnison. And we kept saying, we're losing the arms race to Gunnison, because they kept getting the CIB money, and it would just grow, grow, grow. But that hospital and things like that will promote the destination concept. People see that. I think we've got 3 new doctors coming in the next 4 months. More specialties. You're going to have, we added an internist, we added a radiologist, we're adding another general surgeon, we're getting an ear, nose, and throat specialist coming in, and you're probably going to have dermatology coverage here. I mean, that's the growth and the excitement to do, and that will catch on, but it's going to take a community effort to make this more of a destination, because the city council can't do it on their own.
Ryan, I like the question. I'd like to answer it. I wish I had an hour to tell you what I've been working on over the last 2 years. I've been quietly trying to find ways to put businesses in that business part. And the way to do it is, in my opinion, in my view, is we have to hire a consulting company to work with us to go out and look for companies looking to relocate and ways to take companies that are here now and want to expand. And we have companies that do want to expand, heavily expand. And they need to be given the incentive to expand. So that, to me, that's the key. Talking with consulting companies, we have everything we need here. We have a college, we have a transportation system, we have fiber optic systems, everything we need. Like Brian said, we've built everything for them to be here. They just don't know we're here. We've got to get the information out to them. Anybody aware of Magpul? You ever hear of that company? Company in Colorado, they make accessories for firearms. When Colorado passed their anti-gun laws over there, this company with several others that are in the same business went to the legislators and told them, if you pass these anti-gun laws, we're moving. And at that point in time, our economic development should have been over there saying, if you're moving, here's what we got for you. We missed it. Malcolm Nash and I talked about this a little bit. We both tried to make phone calls. We both tried to contact. I sent dozens of emails. We missed it by about a month. They moved to Wyoming, 230 jobs. And they were looking to expand over the next 5 years. So there are companies that they're looking to relocate. Southern California is full. The consultant I talked with, they specifically worked with Ohio and the state of Texas in doing nothing but trying to go to areas that were burdened with regulations and taxes. And they worked with those companies, showed them the opportunities to go. Texas and Ohio actively seek out businesses to move to their location. And that's what we've got to do. And it takes dollars. I mean, it's a lot of dollars. These companies charge tens of thousands of dollars to help you get in the door with your plan that they help you produce. But we have everything that those companies want here for light manufacturing. Everything. Magpul's-based products come out of Southern California. Their major markets were the East Coast. So for them to be here would have been a fantastic opportunity for them and for us. And the trucking companies we have locally, everything that needs to ship out of here, we have that ability to get it out. We also have the ability to get it in. So I could spend an hour telling you what I've learned, and it's fascinating. We have a transient room tax that we charge that we collect about, I think it's $78,000, $80,000 on average a year. The county's transient room tax is earmarked specifically for tourism and economic development. I'd like to see us use our portion of that for that purpose. So that's my thoughts. But I believe the opportunity is there to incentivize our local businesses that want to grow, and the light manufacturing that we have here right now that wants to grow. We need to get in their door and help them. We need to make sure they are aware that we're business friendly and we want them to stay here, not move somewhere else. So that's my feelings on it.
I'll approach it from a little different standpoint. Mike's done some great work. If anybody knows where we can come up with $50,000 to go woo 5 companies and have them all turn us down and be out $50,000, I've got some places we can use that money as well. But I understand what he's saying. I'm approaching a little different perspective, Brian. I've lived here 17 years. In the 17 years I've lived here, we've added 9 holes to the golf course. Home Depot's come to town. Walmart's come to town. The hospital's just doing a $25 million expansion. We've modified and improved Main Street. There are 5 new hotels in the last 17 years. Business growth is, and on and on and on and on and on. Business growth is occurring in Richfield. Now, specifically, light manufacturing jobs, if that's what you're talking about, then we need to look at bringing businesses in from outside the area and see what we can. But again, if we're in no different situation than most small towns of our size are. If we're going to bring light manufacturing or those types of jobs to Richfield, we've got to fight Cedar City and their infrastructure. We've got to fight St. George and their infrastructure. We might be fighting Las Vegas and their infrastructure. We're fighting Payson and their infrastructure. We're fighting Santaquin and their infrastructure. Towns that are 4 and 5 times ours, not huge towns, but towns that have bigger populations with more creature comforts to offer sometimes. If there were an easy answer to this question, we'd have already done it. It's a very, very difficult question to answer, and you know, Mike says he's been working on some things for 2 years, and with what Mike's done in 2 years, what kind of results have we got after 2 years? Nothing yet. It's a very, very difficult problem to build.
One thing we have the infrastructure all in place for is more ball games. I know that there's somebody back here in the back that's working on bringing another tournament to Richfield, and I've got a friend that works in St. George. He says it's the number one thing comes into St. George. It's not golf, it's not running, it's not all these other things they have. It's softball games and baseball games and tournaments. And I know that Scott Jensen's working on getting another tournament for our city, and that's easy.